Wholesaling real estate is the perfect way to make an active income and build a business for real estate investors in Montana. The wholesaling process involves finding discounted properties, getting them under contract, and then selling those contract rights to an end buyer, who's typically a fix and flipper, at a higher price. Now in this video, I'm going to cover how to wholesale real estate step by step in Montana by going into the strategies we've used to successfully wholesale real estate over the last decade. And be sure to download our state-by-state guide on how to wholesale real estate in the description down below. This way, no matter where you're located, you'll know how. So first we'll dive into what is wholesaling real estate, and then we'll get into the step-by-step. So wholesaling is that strategy where an investor, meaning you secure the rights to purchase a property and sell those rights to another buyer for a profit. And the most common method used to sell the contract rights is called the assignment of contract. Now let's break down a deal example so you know how it works. Let's say you find a property that is distressed and you get it under contract to purchase at $200,000. Now, instead of going all the way through and buying the property yourself, you simply get it at that price under contract at $200,000, and then you sell the contract for $210,000. Now, what you make as a wholesaler is the difference between $200,000 and $210,000. So that $10,000 difference, that is your profit, that is your wholesale fee. And this was all from getting a property under contract and lining it up with the cash buyer who wanted to buy this deal. So in a lot of cases, you did this with no risk, without having to bring any capital to the table, and now it's time for the next one. So at a high level, that's how wholesaling works in Montana, but now let's dive into each step. So step number one for wholesaling real estate successfully in Montana is picking your real estate market. And what we recommend to get started is to actually start wherever you're located in Montana. So if you're located in Billings or Bozeman or Great Falls, then start in the city and county you're already living in. And this is because it's going to be 10 times easier to start in the area you're in rather than trying to pick a virtual market you have no idea about. So for example, if you're already local to the area, you can drive to a property and view it and inspect it when you need to. You can also meet locally with real estate agents who are listing and selling these great properties that are for wholesaling. So you can build rapport and build a relationship with them, and they can bring you repeat deals. It's very hard to do when that agent is 5 states over. Now, additionally, when you start in your own local markets, you know more than you already think you know. So for example, you probably know the good areas of your city, you probably know the good areas of different counties, you probably know the bad areas. You know where there's growth happening, where the economy is booming potentially in your city, and you know where there's a lot of homelessness, you know where there's crime. And all this knowledge can actually give you an advantage and an edge against others who don't know this information. And it's because all these local factors will affect the desirability and the price for the properties you're wholesaling, which is very important when it comes to running a profitable wholesaling business. So for step number one, it's picking your market, which is going to be the city and county you're located in Montana. Now, step two is finding 3 to 5 quality and local cash buyers in your area that you can wholesale deals to. So cash buyers are real estate investors, typically fix and flippers, that are buying multiple deals per month and that want to work with wholesalers. These are the people you bring your deals to, and they pay you a wholesale fee, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per deal. So what we recommend is to find these cash buyers first before you ever find a deal. This way you can find the exact types of properties they like to buy and then find those properties for them. So you find the exact properties that they want. You're not finding random properties. And a quick example of this is, right, some cash buyers may only want to buy in Bozeman, Montana. But if you're located in Billings, then we want to find cash buyers that are buying in Billings, Montana, and that are only buying there. This will increase the likelihood of your success and allow you to get the highest wholesale fees possible. When our cash buyers are buying in Billings, we're finding deals that are in Billings. It's exactly what they want. So how do you find these cash buyers? Let me tell you about my Google Ninja trick for finding cash buyers in your area. So let's say you're located in Billings and want to find cash buyers there. Then go to google.com and type in "sell my house fast Billings." And what will appear in the organic search results are real estate investors who've invested into their website so that they can actually rank organically on page 1 for those search terms. And this is because these investors, they're cash buyers and they want to find motivated sellers through Google. They want motivated sellers to actually come to them. That's the goal of why their website is ranking for "sell my house fast Billings." So what we do is we pretend we're a motivated seller who's typing that in. We pretend we want to sell our house fast in Billings. And what we find is on Google, on page 1, page 2, we find actual cash buyers that are on the internet. Now, obviously, this doesn't take hours. This can take seconds. This can take minutes to find cash buyers in your area in Montana using this strategy. And there are even more keywords and phrases. Type into Google to find even more qualified cash buyers. And if you want my free guide on this that goes in depth, just go to realestateskills.com/Google, and I'll put that link in the description as well. Now, this Google strategy, this is just one of several ways to find cash buyers, so be sure to check out our YouTube channel if you want to learn even more ways. Now, step number 3 is finding deals on the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service, which is the database of all motivated seller leads on the market in your area. And it's an extremely powerful tool, if not the most powerful tool for finding properties that you can wholesale. Let me tell you about one of my favorite strategies now for finding deals on the MLS. It's called our Day Zero strategy. With this strategy, you find all the new listings that have came on the market in the last 24 hours. We find those listings, let's say there are 40 of those listings, and now we look for the distressed listings that are in there. There might be 5, there might be 10 out of those 40, and we want to focus on those 5 or 10 and give those all of our attention for the day. Now, why we love this is because these new distressed properties that have just hit the market, they need to go all cash. They need to go to an investor. So why not you? And if you can be the first one to the punch, the first one to the game, the first one to call the real estate agent and get an offer that they like on this distressed property, you can potentially get it under contract and then wholesale it. And so throughout the years, there have been dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of properties that we and our students have been able to get under contract simply because we're the first ones to call using the Day Zero strategy, and we gave the agent and the seller an offer that they liked. And if you want additional free training on how to get the most out of the MLS and using these strategies, not only for wholesaling, but also for fixing and flipping and investing into cash flowing rental properties, just go to realestateskills.com/watch and click that link in the description. I'll put it down there as well. Now, step number 4 for wholesaling real estate in Montana is now calling and talking to real estate agents. So once you've used the Day Zero strategy, you've now identified a property and you want to call the actual real estate agent who's in charge of the deal. Now, the great thing about using the MLS is that typically that agent's contact information who's in charge of the deal, typically their phone number, their email, their contact info is on there. And so it's very simple to just give them a call. And what you want to do is make sure on this phone call, make sure that the property is actually distressed. Make sure that the property is actually going to go to a real estate investor. Make sure that it needs to go all cash. We want to make sure that it needs to go all cash, that we're not competing with homeowner offers, and that this property is not feasible to be bought with a mortgage. And this is because if we are competing against normal homeowners buying a property, they're going to be emotionally invested in the properties. They're going to overpay. If we're only competing against other investors, now it's much easier competition. We're dealing with people who are rational and are only focusing on the numbers. It's a game that we can win as opposed to competing against homeowners. And keep in mind, this is very important. We only want to call on properties that are in a distressed condition that need fixing up and where the seller is in a distressed situation. So where a lot of beginner real estate investors and wholesalers go wrong when focusing on the market on the MLS is that they treat every single property equally. And once again, like I mentioned, if the property is not distressed, if a homeowner can offer on it, this is typically not a property that we're going to wholesale. 99% of the time, you're not going to be able to wholesale it. And so by focusing on that property, you're actually going to waste a lot of time. Now, additionally, when we're looking at a property and we're looking at the description of the property, the agent's not going to tell us immediately from the listing that the seller's in a distressed situation, like going through a divorce or there's a death in the family. It may not always be in the description, but this is why the phone conversation with the agent is so important. It typically comes up in the phone conversation. So we need to give the agent a call. We need to figure out the seller's situation and what's their motivation to sell. Now, from calling the agent, we're going to get additional information about the property, such as what type of renovation does the property need? And are there any special features on this particular house that the neighbors don't have? And what does the agent think that this house will sell for in its best possible condition? And so we extract as much information as possible through this phone call. And we actually call this the discovery call because we are discovering more and more about this deal and the seller situation. Now, once we've had a great discovery call, we've got all the information we need from there. And now we can start to analyze the deal. Now, once you've found that potential deal and you've called the real estate agent, it's time for step 5, which is analyzing the deal. And this particular time, we want to determine a few numbers. The first important number is called the ARV. This stands for the after repair value. And this is the estimated future market value of the property after it's been repaired. Now, the next important number to determine is the cost of repairs. This is the estimated amount that it takes to renovate this property to its best possible condition, right? The amount it takes to renovate it to that ARV price. From there, we're able to decide on our desired wholesale fee, which in a lot of cases, we like to put at least $10,000 to start. We feel like this is a very fair number for the work that we put into a deal and to assign those contract rights. And sometimes you're going to make a lot more, and sometimes you may make a bit less. Typically, the more experienced you are, the more money you're going to make on a deal-to-deal basis. Now, lastly, we're able to determine our purchase price. This is the actual offer price you'll be offering on the property and where you'll be getting it under contract at. Now, a common formula used in order to find your maximum allowable offer price, which is the maximum purchase price you can send to an agent, send to a seller to get under contract at to make your desired wholesale fee. How we get this maximum allowable offer price is to first multiply your ARV by 70%. So for example, if the ARV was $500,000, multiply that by 70%, you now have $350,000. Next, you subtract your estimated repair cost. And in this example, let's say it was $40,000. Subtract that by the $350,000. Now we have $310,000. Then subtract your desired wholesale fee from $310,000. Let's say it's $10,000. Now you have $300,000. And what that $300,000 price is, it's your maximum allowable offer price to make your $10,000 wholesale fee and to have a very high likelihood to wholesale it to a cash buyer that will pay you that $10,000 wholesale fee. Now, this is a very simple rule of thumb. And in our experience, if you want to have more competitive offers, if you want to get more offers accepted, we recommend using 80% of the ARV rather than 70%, because this will allow you to offer at a higher price. It will allow you to have offers that are more competitive, and you'll still have a very high likelihood of being able to make at least $10,000 per deal on every single wholesale deal that you do. And will still give you a very high likelihood of being able to make a $10,000 wholesale fee on each and every deal that you do. Now, what I use personally for each and every wholesale and flip deal that we do is our actual deal calculator. And if you want to give that a spin, you want to try it out, you can download it at realestateskills.com/calculator, and you can plug in all of your numbers to analyze your wholesale deals in Montana. What this will allow you to do is to analyze all of your numbers down to the T, right? We're not using some random formula or paper napkin math. This is a professional calculator, not only for wholesale deals, but for fix and flip deals. So if you want to be a pro from day one, definitely grab the calculator. Now, once you've analyzed the deal, it's time for step number 6, which is submitting offers and negotiating. Now, this is arguably the most important step because you cannot get a deal under contract to wholesale unless you submit an offer. And I cannot stress how important it is to send professional and quality offers. And I'll start to unpack this as we go through this section. Meaning you do not want to send an offer that has a 60-day closing time frame when the seller wants to close in 21 or 14 days, right? We need our contract terms to match up what the seller wants. And we also need to use contract terms that the real estate agents we're working with are familiar using with real estate investors. Some usual terms here would be minimal contingencies and a quicker closing time frame. So typically real estate investors, wholesalers that are professionals will have low contingency timeframes like a 3 to 7 day inspection contingency and a 14-day closing window. And this quicker closing timeframe window is very common for real estate investors and wholesalers because these are typically cash transactions. And a lot of the times we're dealing with sellers that are in distress situations that they need to get out of quickly. Now, keep in mind with most offers as well, an earnest money deposit, also known as an EMD, is typically due. This is a good faith deposit that you put down on the property and is typically due within 72 hours of getting the property under contract. And these deposits can range anywhere from $500 to $10,000, and it really depends on what's most common in your area and the price points of the properties that we're getting under contract. Additionally, this deposit is typically refundable, but always be sure to check your contract. The contract is the law of the land in which you need to abide by because you signed it. But always check it even before you sign it, of course, and make sure that the EMD is refundable. And if you want to check out our contracts that we use for wholesaling real estate in Montana, you can go ahead and download those for free at realestateskills.com/contracts, and I'll put that link in the description down below as well. Now, if you're just starting out wholesaling in Montana, one of the most important pro tips I can give you to do this without any risk is to always include an inspection contingency in your contract. Now, what this contingency is it allows you to back out of a contract once you have a property under contract due to the inspection of the property. So, at least put a 7-day inspection contingency or 3-day inspection contingency. That gives you 3 to 7 days to back out of that contract. That is your backout clause, and it's very important in order to do this risk-free. So if you're a beginner, always have that contingency at the very least. You can add other contingencies, but we keep our offer clean and credible and professional by only having an inspection contingency. Now keep in mind, we always need to be solutions providers when it comes to our offer terms, meaning that the seller needs 28 days to close. Don't make it a 45-day close if they don't want to close in 45 days, and don't make that a 14-day close. Make that a 28-day close. Give them exactly what they want. Be sure to always be accommodating with your terms to the seller in order to have the most attractive offers possible, right? Another example is if the seller needs help moving, maybe you offer to get them a U-Haul and actually pay them for it, right? Maybe it's an elderly couple. Help them out. There's other people that will not put that in their offer, will not pay for that U-Haul, and that can be the difference between you making a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 wholesale fee and not, by being a solutions provider and by making your offer even more attractive. Now, additionally, in order to be professional and credible, always include a proof of funds on each and every offer that you send. This is documentation that says you have access to the funds needed in order to purchase the property. And there are many ways to get proof of funds from hard money lenders, private money lenders, but you need this proof of funds in order to be taken seriously and get your offers accepted. And if you want to download our free guide on how to get a proof of funds instantly and for free, you can get that at realestateskills.com/proof. And I'll walk you through the 2 different ways to get that proof of funds so you can submit them with your offer. Now it's time for step 7. This is our favorite step, and it's closing the deal and getting paid. This is the final stage where you are going to assign your contract rights to the end buyer, and that end buyer is going to officially close on the deal by paying the seller for the property. You will assign the contract by letting the title and escrow companies know the assignment terms by actually sending them your assignment contract. And this contract will outline your wholesale fee for the transfer of the property rights, and it's signed by all parties that are involved in order to solidify the agreement. Once again, you can grab an example of our assignment contract by going to the description down below. Now, once the deal is officially closed, you'll either be wired the wholesale fee to your bank account or get cut a check from the title and escrow company. So whether it was $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000, that will be sent to your bank, or you'll get cut a check of that. So congratulations, that's exactly how to wholesale real estate successfully in Montana. Now lastly, from wholesaling over the last decade and being part of hundreds of real estate deals all across the nation, I've learned something very important. It's that there's still an abundance of opportunity out there right now. And anyone, including busy people with full-time jobs, including people that are watching YouTube, can tap into it and start building the real estate business that they've always wanted. Now, I've created a free training that walks you through our MLS acquisition process, the one I talked about in this video. And if you want to check it out, just go to realestateskills.com/watch. Now in this training, I'm going to cover number 1, the best place to find and flip wholesale deals, 2, how to get deals on demand with predictability from the MLS, and 3, how to actually close with buyers who are ecstatic to work with you and pay you large wholesale fees. So $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 wholesale fees. Obviously, there's no obligation or risk to you watching the training. Chances are you'll walk away from it with some great ideas on how to improve your business, just like the wholesalers and flippers in our community that are using the same methods to get deals around the clock and across the nation. All right, hope to see you there. This is Alex Martinez with realestateskills.com. Happy wholesaling. I'll see you in the next one.